Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in to the show. Got my crew with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we're coming your way with the 67th edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. First thing we're about to touch on today is UFC. Had UFC 211 last week. Pretty good pay-per-view. If you ask me, I had some pretty good fights in that one. So the first fight we're about to talk about in this one is Damian Maia versus Jorge Masvidal. Darnell, you were talking about it earlier last week, man. You think this was going to be a good one? Just what were your overall thoughts on this fight?
I got what I expected out of it. It was, started out as a decent little chess match. I was surprised at how easily Maya was still able to get Masvidal down. Especially he has more of a awkward wrestling base. He doesn't do the traditional shoots for a double or single. He just kind of latches on to you in a weird way and gets people down. But, I have shown and proved why he's the hottest fighter right now in the welterweight division.
Yeah. Now,
he's pretty much perfect.
Okay, yeah, he's 7-0 now, 7-0 tear right now. So yeah, he's doing his thing right now in that division. This was a split decision fight. Do you think, in feeling any way, that Masvidal won, or do you still side with Maia on this one, or how do you feel about that split decision?
No, I didn't agree with it being a split decision. I wasn't sure how anybody judges that for anybody other than Maia.
Yeah,
he controlled most of the fight. I'm not saying like he just destroyed Masvidal, but it seemed clear to me.
Yeah, I can agree with that one too. Just seemed like he just controlled a good amount of all the aspects up in the fight. So I gave that to Maia as well, pretty clearly for me. Now he asked for after the fight, just talking about he wanted a championship fight with Woodley. Do you think he's ready for him, man?
I mean, he's as ready as he'll ever be. Like I've never seen him look better in the ring than he is right now. I would dare to say he's probably the most dangerous brown guy possibly in UFC history. He's just that good. But me and you were talking about it recently. Woodley is basically impossible to get to the ground.
Yeah,
it's like a career 95% takedown, defensive takedown percentage.
Yep.
So it would be interesting. Especially, like I said, he's awkward with his wrestling as far as getting a takedown. He's good at keeping people down and keeping control when he does it, but Woodley seems to be a bit of a Rubik's Cube there as far as how to get him on the ground and if you do, how to keep him there. Woodley's a different kind of athlete for this division. Like he's probably the best athlete in the division. So I guess it would come down to, how does Maia get inside to get a hold of him? Because Woodley's boxing is very good and we already know about his power.
Yeah.
So it's a fight I want to see, just so I want to see how these two styles would match up. I'd probably still lean Woodley.
Yeah.
But, Maia's been proving people wrong on this whole tear. Like I say, he looks better than he's ever looked.
Yeah, just with what you just said, he looks better than he's ever looked. This guy's 39 years old, man. It just looks absolutely amazing in that ring. So, just basically just to repeat what you said, I'm going to be looking forward to that fight. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more moving on after we touch on the other couple of fights. But really going to be interesting to see if he can get a hold of, Woodley and take him down once they get into the ring, because, we was talking about earlier, man, Woodley, that guy has amazing defensive takedowns. So, this is going to be good to see if he can crack that Rubik's Cube for Woodley. And if he can do that, that will definitely help a lot with his chances to win. So, but yeah, man, Damian Maia is looking good. Hopefully he can keep it up in this next fight with Woodley. If Dana White does indeed keep his word. So.
Yeah, he's having that rare, like Randy Couture, like renaissance for himself.
Yeah.
It's cool to see.
Yep. All right, up next, we're about to talk about JJ versus Andrade. This was JJ did her thing in this fight, man. Don't get me wrong, but I was just impressed with Andrade how earlier, man, she was taking her down with ease. I mean, it didn't look like she was just breaking a sweat, which is how she was just grabbing a hold of her, taking down. But JJ is JJ. She got right back up as soon as she was taken down to the floor and stood up, just started hitting them with those combos and had good footwork and was doing her thing against Jessica Andrade. So JJ being JJ again, man, she keeps that streak going.
Yeah, I mean, she showed why she's a champ for sure. Beating her own record for significant strikes landed in a championship fight. But yeah, Andrade, she showed her toughness. She was game for everything, but you could just see the talent level starting to show as the fight went on.
Yeah.
Andrade tried to go to her strengths, which is her strength early, trying to go for those takedowns, seeing if she could impose her strength on JJ, but she was able to always get up, and when she found her range and was able to just start landing and doing what she needed to do, she cleaned up. But she took her shots early. She had that mouse on her forehead to last the whole fight.
Yeah.
JJ is JJ. He's still champ.
Yep. Now, with this, do you think that her next fight is going to be against Gadelha again, or is there somebody else you would like to see her face, or what? I believe Gadelha, she's number one right now. Ranked for
I'm not sure. So. I'm not sure if she's deserving of another one just after how badly she faded the last fight.
Yeah.
I mean, she showed it was impressive the first couple rounds, especially the first round when she stunned her and was controlling the takedown. But it got pretty lopsided by the end of the fight. So I'm not sure if she's should be the one that's next up. Not sure who I would put in there next, but I'm not sure if I would go back to Roger yet.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can definitely understand what you're saying, man. Gadelha, she's had 2 fights against her and she's lost both of them. But, that was the closest one to beating JJ. But, she ended up gassing, after about the 3rd round, in her last fight with her. So, yeah, she will have to definitely step her conditioning up if she wants to, take that belt away from JJ. But, yeah, it's hard to say, man, because even though she was, the closest one to beating JJ, she already had 2 chances, and could be somebody else out there they could be looking at to possibly have her challenge JJ for the belt. So, all right, up next we have JDS versus Miocic. This was a quick fight, man. We was talking about that last week, how both of these guys could have possibly finished the fight earlier. But yeah, just thoughts on this one.
Miocic is coming into his own and being a champion. He came in, you could see he was confident just from walking into the cage, and he came in with I guess that Cleveland work ethic, state of mind, brought his lunch pail, got in there, put in his work and got out.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing, so. And it showed. He put in the work for his training camp, and he was crisp. He got all up in JDS quick and put him down quick.
Yep.
Easy money for himself.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just good performance on this part, just to finish JDS quick. Do have a little question mark by Miocic though. JDS, he did land a couple of leg kicks in there. Looked like they got to Miocic pretty quick. So I just want to see down the road, possibly with this next fight, if somebody continues to start to chop at that leg and continue to go further, deeper into rounds, would that start to be a problem for Miocic further, because JDS, he did land some nice little leg kicks in there that kind of got to Miocic quick. But, with his hands, if he taps you on on your head, it's going to be a knockout for him. So, just want to see how his legs can hold up to some punishment down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying there, but I think that was just more of a surprise. Just, Dos Santos doesn't really kick.
True, yeah.
So that was odd coming into that one. He's just not a guy that really goes for leg kicks. So I think that was a wrinkle that he tried to throw in to see if they get something in there that might surprise Miocic.
Yeah.
And it was a new, like I said, a new wrinkle from JDS, but I think that was more of a surprise factor than just him having bad defense as far as leg kicks.
Yeah, definitely understand where he's coming from there because, JDS, he doesn't really throw those kicks that much. You still feeling like Kane can be the next guy for him, man?
I mean, yeah, I think he should be the next guy. I want to see this fight. I'm finally feeling like it might be an uphill battle for Kane now.
Yeah.
Stipe, he seems to be getting better every fight. And that's talking about a guy that already has the belt. That's a scary thing.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that just shocked me, is that Miocic, he already tied the record for title defenses in that heavyweight division, with just 2. So I was, I knew like the division was, wasn't the strongest division and everything like that, and the belts changed quick. But yeah, just 2 title defenses, man, and that was it. And one more, he'd break the record if he can get the win. So that was just one thing that stuck out for me. But yeah, if they can get him and Kane in there, obviously I'd like to see my man Overeem get another shot. So I would definitely love to hear that. But Cain Velasquez versus Miocic. Miocic, that looks like he's getting better and better every time he gets into the ring. Can't go wrong with that one either, man. All right, now this was something else I just kind of thought about too, just on just during discussion. But during the prelims, Eddie Alvarez, he was fighting, and there was another leg kick controversy. Just prior to that, Chris Weidman had a problem with the leg kicks. Do you think with this new rule change, with them having one hand down and whatnot, can you see this possibly being just a problem further down the road, or you think they'll finally get it together, or what?
Well, the issue with this situation is, I forget what state were they fighting in for 211?
Texas.
Texas, yeah. Texas hasn't adopted the new rule for, and it has to be 2 hands down. So
okay. That's okay.
During this card, it was going back to the original rule of 1 hand is a down fight.
Okay.
So based on that, that's why the ref had to call a no contest there.
Okay.
Because this was technically actually an illegal strike, as opposed to Weidman's, where a hand came off the ground, so he was fair game.
Yeah.
So, it's an issue still, but I mean, the issue is that we have to get a whole 50 states on the same page, accepting the same rules, and so the fighters don't have to think about where they are, especially the offensive fighter. When you're in a situation like that, when all you've been hearing is now they have to have 2 hands on the ground, and you go to just a random state and you have to go back to the old rule, which, that your muscle memory changes in those regards.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that they just need to have like a UFC rule book where it's the rules no matter what, and not have the state by state decision? I mean, even if all the states were to be, agreeing with each other on what the rules should be, do you think there should just be a solid like rule book for the UFC that just flat out says what the rule is?
That would probably be tough, because then they would have to go back to each state to try to get a license to be there if they have their own rule book.
Yeah, true.
Because the commissions have to be a part of that, and it's basically because UFC, they're their own league, but as MMA for a sport, is probably in the UFC's best interest just to get every state on board because, when they're pulling from smaller leagues and around the states and, even the other two semi-big promotions, they just want to make sure that there's still fluidity there. So they come in and they know what they should be doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and plus too, man, we talked about it a little bit before. I'm for the Muhammad Ali Act that allow these guys to not just be associated with one brand. So if that would get passed, if the states just had one uniform rule, then that would help a lot. So if this Ali Act would happen, whether they're fighting for UFC, Bellator, or whatever, it'll just be a clean little rule. But it would be nice if the UFC they could have their own set of rules. But just looking further, that could be a little problem. Just if the Ali Act were to be enforced upon the MMA fighters. So I'm looking at it. All right, now about to get into your man GSP. We was kind of talking about this a little bit last week, but how it's sounding. Dana doesn't. He canceled the fight so far with him and Michael Bisping. Just what were your thoughts on that, man?
Sorry, what was that? You broke up a little bit.
Dana White, with him breaking up, canceling the fight with GSP and Bisping. Just what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, I guess it wasn't crazy, to see it happen. We were talking about it, a few weeks ago, just saying how GSP was trying to hold out till October or November to fight. And he was probably getting a lot of pressure from his other middleweight challengers. So it wasn't surprising to hear the news, but, crazy enough, just today, an article, comes out on MMA Weekly with Michael Bisping saying the cancellation of the fight is news to him. Wow. So I think he may be trying to throw his weight in as a champ here, saying, I haven't signed to fight Yoel Romero. I've signed to fight George St. Pierre. And that's the fight he wants because like we spoke about earlier, that's going to drop, the payout for Michael a lot.
Yep.
Dropping down from GSP to Yoel Romero. I mean, somebody that is a good fighter, there's no disrespect to his talent.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the drawing power of GSP. So, especially for his return fight after being out of the ring for 2 years now.
Yeah.
So I think, this story hasn't been written yet, fully. And, Bisping is now saying what he has to say about it. So this GSP fight might not be totally dead because, people don't want their wallet getting slashed like that.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, do you think this is most just men being men, having an egos clash, and, just a little bit more time, they'll just cool it down and say, hey, you know what, let's focus on the money, get everything right, and do it that way, or how do you feel about that?
Well, from Dana White's side, is definitely probably more of an ego thing, because basically from the jump, trying to get GSP back into the UFC has been basically a dick measuring contest. With Dana trying to say GSP doesn't want to fight, his heart's not in it, and all this kind of stuff. Where it's just like, with Dana White, there's always ridiculous things that happen, and you have to try to look at it realistically.
Yeah.
Like, just from the previous part, it's like, no, Dana, you have the biggest draw you've ever had wanting to come back. He's not going to come back for chump change. You're going to have to pay the guy.
Yeah.
And now with this situation, it's still another power move from Dana, but, the guy holding the belt is now like, hey, you're not just going to take, probably possibly the biggest fight of my career away from me, where I can retire off of this fight possibly because, I'm probably going to get a multi-million-dollar payday out of it. This GSP coming back.
Yeah.
So pump your brakes before you say who I'm fighting. I do have a say in this. I have to sign a contract for it.
Yep. Now, another thing, too, I was reading an article earlier, Tyron Woodley. I know we were just talking about Maya supposedly fighting him next, but he did say that Maya would probably have to, it would be on hold if he could somehow get a fight with GSP since the fight's canceled right now. But how would you feel about that? Would you rather see Woodley and GSP get it on, or you still want to see Bisping and GSP first? Like, how would you, if you were in the ears of GSP, how would you approach him or what to do?
Well, Woodley GSP is a better fight.
Yeah.
I don't think too many people would disagree there. If GSP is still anywhere near what he's been, the better fight is him versus Woodley. Woodley poses more of a challenge. Bisping, he's a tough guy. He's going to stand in there. He's going to fight anybody. But as far as their styles go, GSP is not he's a strategic fighter. He's not going to leave himself out there just for that lucky punch to land, like how Bisping got on Rockhold. GSP learned that lesson the hard way early in his career, where he lost the title from it. So that's not a normal mistake for him to make.
Yeah.
So I would see him going in against Bisping and keeping the fight on the ground, which would be where he has an extreme advantage. So I guess if I'm in his ear, the better fight for him to win is going against Bisping. But the better fight from a fan point of view is against Woodley.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you, man. Just off of that, if just from a fan standpoint, I would love to see GSP and Woodley get it on, just because with them wrestling and Woodley's knockout power, I think he just offers more to the table for GSP. But so I would definitely want to see that one. But just from a career standpoint, GSP, I think the easier fight would be for him and Bisping. Either way, with GSP, he's going to draw in a crowd and get some money. So financially, I think he's going to be set either way.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. That's what we're about to wrap up for UFC 211. Just Ty, I know you watched it, man. Did you have any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, you guys covered a lot of it. I guess just some quick takeaways for me. JJ dominated her fight. Like you said, Trey really got in there with those combos. Especially after it took her a minute to feel the fight. I felt like she got off to kind of a slow start. Was taken down a few times, but recovered well. Didn't let her opponent get the better of her on the ground. But yeah, I think at one point she landed like 30 more punches than her opponent. So she had complete domination of the fight. I feel like that's what I expected because I'd seen JJ fight before. I think I watched her get the belt the first time, I think. But just typical dominating fashion. She has the right attitude. She says she's not going to lose the belt. She has the attitude that she'll die with the belt. So, I expect to see a lot from her in the future moving forward. And then for the Miocic fight, Trey, you mentioned, the kicks. How's he going to be able to keep up with that? Just kind of an interesting take. I noticed he kind of squares up when he fights. He's a little more square as opposed to, kind of getting that angle. So I felt like he kind of left himself open for quite a bit. But, he had control of that fight as well. Just landed some nice punches, and just in the end got the job done and got the job done quick. So, I know Trey, you like Miocic as a fighter. So, when you guys say, someone's worth watching or, someone's a really good fighter, I have to take your word for it. And, starting to see, what you guys are talking about, a lot of it's starting to make sense. So, It's good stuff. Can't wait for 212.
Me too, man. I'm really excited for that. You just brought it up, my man Aldo. So just that one, I'm really excited. Holloway's been talking trash. I want to see that, because last time a person was talking trash to Aldo, he got knocked out quick. So I want to see how my man's going to be able to stand his ground up in that fight and do his job. So that one particularly, I'm really going to be excited for to see my man, finally get back in the ring, hopefully do his work. So. But all right, guys. Well, just real quick, man. Came out. Anthony Rumble. He's investing in cannabis usage, so that's what he's decided to do instead of being in the ring. Just what were your thoughts on that when you heard that?
I mean, I'm glad it put to rest all the rumors about him trying to go to the NFL and stuff like that.
Oh man.
But I thought it was cool. I mean, he doesn't have to pass any more drug tests since he's not fighting. Yeah. Not saying that he's definitely using what he's getting into, but I think it sounds like a reasonable business decision for him. Something that'll have him set for the rest of his years. He's made his money fighting, and he seems to be pretty healthy. So, hey, good for him.
Yeah, I just think he
does well.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the cannabis business that's popping right now. It's going to be getting better and better with just opportunity for more states to just approve it for medicinal uses. But still want to see my man in the ring knocking people's heads off, though. But he did put the rest for the whole NFL career thing, so that was kind of good to see. I definitely cannot picture him in the NFL playing, but just taking it easy, man. He's finding an adventure that he think he could be successful in, but still again, man, I still want to see him in that ring. It's definitely just surprising with just how, he was in his prime. If he was starting to slip, Father Time was catching up to him, I could definitely see him doing that, but still think he had a lot left in the tank to offer, but he's doing his thing, man. I can't complain about that. All right, up next, we're about to get into the NBA. Before we get into these playoff games, we'll just talk about the draft a little bit. They had the picks to find out what's the order for the draft for the 2017 draft. Just what was your thoughts on the team's just overall ranking for the picks?
I think we got a lot of what we expected. The Celtics still benefiting, one of the most lopsided trades. Well, hindsight 2020, but lopsided trades of all time. They get the number 1 overall pick, thanks to the Brooklyn Nets taking 3 overaged players on their team about 5 years ago now, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So, Boston Celtics playing in the Eastern Conference Finals get to add a big time weapon. Could be scary, could be interesting to see if they potentially do something with the pick instead of actually draft a player. I'm sure they will, but there's a lot of, speculation going around, like what they could possibly get for trading the number 1 pick. But that's neither here nor there. I think they'll keep the pick, but that's just me. For me, I think the most interesting thing was seeing where the Lakers fell. As much as we say we're sick of LeVar Ball, as much as, the Lonzo things being overdone, you still want to know what's going to happen. And with the Lakers getting number 2, I expect Lonzo to go number 2. I thought it would have been interesting if they fell at number 4, see if he would have slid that far in the draft. I don't think he would have, but it looks like the Lakers are going to get what they want. More importantly, LeVar Ball is going to get what he wants. Sixers at 3. Cool that they just get to draft again at the top, and they'll get a star player. A lot of reports say they could go Josh Jackson. Guess we'll have to wait and see there. Then I believe we have Suns 4. Am I correct there?
Yep.
It's Suns 4. Who's 5th?
Sacramento.
In Sacramento 5. Yeah. Sacramento gets 2 lottery picks this year, which will be nice for them. I don't think you can ever complain about getting 2 lottery picks, especially this year. It's a pretty deep draft. I think they're saying 15 or 16 freshmen could be taken in the first round. Like that's pretty incredible. So, the talent's deep this year in the draft. They should be able to pick up a couple nice pieces. But then the Phoenix Suns just get to add to an already very young roster. It'll be interesting to see who they take. Devin Booker worked out real well for them. Last time they had pretty high picks, so see if they can pick smart again and get another guy that can really help them moving forward. And then I guess I should mention Pistons at 12. Our boys, not you, Trey, but Darnell. Yeah, they get the 12th pick. They had very, very small chances of getting picked 1, 2, or 3. So for them to get, the highest percentage position, I'm totally okay with it. I still think they'll get pretty good value at 12. I know we're going to talk about who we'd like to see go, but, I really like where they're at 12. I think that's a pretty solid spot. You don't have a ton of pressure picking in the top 5 or 10. They kind of slide a little bit outside of that, so I think they can make a pretty solid pick there
at 12. Yeah, it was kind of, things kind of fell close to the ping pong balls, which is a little odd, but, still it's one for the conspiracy theorists. You got the 2, most winningest franchises in the NBA picking 1 and 2. So it's only so long before you start hearing that the NBA wanted them to be great again. So, and this is the conspiracy to finally stop LeBron.
Cleveland didn't get the number 1 pick, so I'm not too into the conspiracy right now.
Well, but I mean, like I said, you got the Lakers that they've been out of the playoffs for a few years now, and you got Boston on the cusp, I guess you could say, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, pretty sure people are looking forward to getting those traditional powers back in the mix.
Now, let me just ask you guys this: just looking at this draft class, how do you think this class compares to last year's?
Way better.
Way better.
Yeah. Last year's class is just lucky Joel Embiid got to be considered a rookie still.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, this draft, you could still be drafting starters with picks in the 20s. Late first round picks could be starters. Now, granted, anybody if you're drafted can be a starter. Chips fall right or whatever. Draymond Green's a good example of that. Second round pick, starter.
Yeah.
But, I feel like you can pretty confidently draft somebody late in the first round and still get really good value for next year. Guy who will make the roster be sitting on the bench consistently.
Yeah, with this draft class, we'll have, once we get to Rookie of the Year conversations next year around this time, it's not going to be do we still just give it to Embiid even though he played half the year? Or is there some other name we can say? We will actually be debating between rookies and something.
Now, just looking at the top 3 teams, the Celtics, Lakers, and Philly, I believe. Where do you think? Who do you think they will end up drafting?
Do we all think?
Go ahead.
Do we all think
Fultz for one?
Yeah. Do we think Fultz will go number 1? That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
I figured that would be the case.
Yeah. I mean, just seeing. I don't know that the tape really shows the ceiling that Fultz can have. He's got a decent little highlight reel, but I mean, I think if you just look at, his numbers, you're looking at a guy who's, what was he, 6'5", but has a wingspan of 6'9", 6'10". He'd be able to play 2 alongside, Isaiah Thomas, then move Avery Bradley to the bench. And I think anybody with their head on straight knows that Avery Bradley's an undersized 2 who'd be, way more suited for coming off the bench and being a lockdown defender. Being your 6th man. And I think he's way more fit for that role than he is starting. But, I get it. You work with what you have. But, I actually, I like Fultz. I think he has a lot of potential. I think we've yet to see the best out of him. As opposed to someone like Lonzo where, you see him and we're like, he took the scene by storm. What if this is all we get? And granted, that's the danger you have with drafting really anybody.
Yeah, just real quick, agreed on False, but do you guys really feel as if he's the best player in the draft? Or you just think with just circumstances, just what the team needs, he's going to be number 1? Or how do you feel about him? You think he's the best or what?
He has one of the higher ceilings. I guess I agree. Just he's the projected number 1. I do think just based on need and also potential, because I think Boston needs to get a little bit taller. They have a smallish backcourt already.
Yeah.
Fultz doesn't really make them too much bigger. Having a 6'5" 2 guard is crazy to say. It's actually on the short side nowadays. So I wouldn't be shocked if they take a look at Josh Jackson.
Yeah.
Cause he's a wing player that could probably play the 2 or the 3. And he's a crazy athlete, who also has a high ceiling for himself. He's a good shooter. Would give, Isaiah Thomas somebody to kick to, with, how he's usually slashing to the basket. And it might open up lanes for him. But if they do take Fultz, on the other hand, this might be their insurance policy if they don't feel like paying, Isaiah Thomas in a year or 2 when he's a free agent.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, I'd fall in line with that thinking. I think he's a pretty good security blanket.
Yeah.
If you want to look at it in terms of necessity, what are you going to need 2 or 3 years down the road? I think Fultz would be a good pick for that. But I agree. I've said it before. The NBA draft's about how high is your ceiling. That's what gets you drafted. And granted, these kids are 18 years old, 19 years old. They're not fully grown, fully developed. Remember how skinny LeBron was coming into the NBA? Dude's a freight train compared to what he was.
Yeah.
So we're going to see these guys really grow over the next 5 years. And really
even
anything can happen out of
KD,
that
he was saying some of them should skip the combine because just look at some of the hate that he was getting coming to the league. So
yeah, I get it, but I feel like, and I guess this is a little bit of a different conversation, but going to the combine, I feel like as much as you have, a season's worth of film in college, that's a great opportunity for a lot of these scouts to see you in a different setting. They figure out how coachable you really are. Every college coach is going to speak highly of their player. That gives you an opportunity to really see what these guys have. Granted, who cares what your shuttle time is or how fast you can slide around pylons. I get it. All that stuff tells these guys something, but I feel like going to the combine doesn't really hurt you like it would in the NFL. I feel like the NFL combine can hurt you more than the NBA combine would. I feel like the biggest part of the NBA combine is when they play 5-on-5 scrimmage. Whether you want to go, whether you don't want to go, whatever. At the end of the day, like I said, you have a season's worth of film on these kids.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But yeah, I guess, back to Markelle Fultz. He actually had a really quiet college season for being the projected number 1 pick. You weren't hearing too much about him. He wasn't in the player of the year discussion.
You think some of that was because where he played, though?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Washington does not get, I don't even know if they had a televised game this year.
Yeah.
Like, and not to his fault.
Yeah.
But, it's just odd. Like, if you look at, the last 5 years number one picks, you were watching those guys pretty consistently.
Yeah.
You got really good looks on them, and that's why I think a lot of people would be higher on someone like Alonzo Ball or Josh Jackson. It's just because we've seen them more. But I think Bolts is just as high of a ceiling as any of them.
Yeah.
So, I'm all for him going number one. No problem. Like Darnell said, he'd be a good insurance policy, good security blanket. He could play with two with the ability to handle the ball. I don't think any team would complain about a two guard that can handle the ball with a point. Yeah, I mean, I think he'd be a pretty decent fit. It allowed them to shuffle their lineup a little bit more, which I think could benefit them. But like Darnell said, they do need to get a bit bigger, and he doesn't exactly solve that problem.
Yeah, so just to go number two, the Lakers, is it basically consensus is Ball?
Yeah. I think I'm with you guys there. So, yeah.
Well, and I think Magic Johnson coming out saying we're drafting Lonzo, not his dad, would basically tips that off that they want him. If any team that's going to draft him can draft the player, not the dad. So to me, that's enough for them to say they're interested, they want him. A lot of people are kind of drawing comparison that Lonzo plays how Magic played. Kind of up and down the court, fast, finds cutters really well, passes well, can score.
Want to see that defense better though. So
yeah. I mean, the one thing he'll have going for him though is his size at 6'7".
Yeah,
tall guy. Yeah,
and he'll be able to. Yeah, I think he'll be able to body up a lot of other guards. I think it'll be interesting to see. No, I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think it'll be interesting to see if he tries to develop a post game. At 6'7", you can really utilize that.
Oh yeah.
Maybe get a pointer or two from Chauncey Billups or something. I don't know. Johnson's pretty good at it, but but if it were me, honestly, I would be very, and hesitant isn't the right word, but I would be very careful about drafting Lonzo Ball because LeVar's gonna have his voice heard or want it to be heard, and it'll just be a distraction.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's interviews are going to happen, and I'm pretty sure once Magic and company get to talk to Lonzo directly, I'm pretty sure that statement will be reiterated. Like, look, we are drafting you. Your dad is welcome to post on Twitter and talk all the stuff he wants to talk, but as far as what's going to happen with the Lakers, he's not making any of those decisions. So, are you okay with that? And they will, I'm assuming, clear that up with him. And if it comes down to where they don't feel comfortable, I mean, all the talk is Paul George wants to go there, so pretty sure they wouldn't hesitate to package him in the deal and send him to Indiana, which would probably make LeVar Ball miserable. So, so I mean, it's getting into the big boy game now. So, LeVar is probably going to have to take a step or two back. But this is the match made in heaven, coming from UCLA. He's a California kid.
Yeah.
I assume they make this. And sorry, D'Angelo Russell, your days are probably numbered.
Yeah, I was just about to say, man, I do like Russell, but I was just reading it today. They could be looking to shop him pretty soon and stuff like that. So, man, I would have loved to see Russell continue to stay in L.A., but I was looking, man, looks like the Lakers going to be going for Ball. So, guess that's karma catching up with him for that Nick Young video to get him out of there.
Yeah.
Now, who do you guys think will fit well with the Sixers?
I mean, if not taking one, I like Josh Jackson too, just because
Yeah, I'd agree.
He can fit a lot of different positions, so he's a plug and play for him. Just makes him that much more athletic.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah,
man,
I agree.
If they could get him and Simmons, because with his injury and then just with Embiid, if they could, that would be just interesting to see how all that would just work out. So.
Well, and also remember here that we could have Embiid at the 5, Simmons at the 4, 3, Jackson at the 2.
Yeah.
That could be interesting. And for some reason, I've seen a lot of rumors swirling around that the Sixers will want to try and make a move on Kyle Lowry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen
that would be a nice starting 5.
I don't disagree. Now granted, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying you heard it here first or anything. But I've seen a couple of reports that, something like that. But, I've seen some things where it's like, they'll try and, put their bid in. I mean, and to be fair, they don't have a point guard.
Yeah.
I mean, they have, TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
You can do a lot better than TJ McConnell. Yeah. And I'm not even saying you have to go as far as Kyle Lowry to find better than TJ McConnell. But the thing is, you would still have Embiid on his rookie contract. You would have Simmons on his rookie contract. You'd have Sark on his rookie contract. Jackson on his rookie contract, which means you have a lot of space.
Yeah.
So they could sign someone like that, but I don't know that Kyle Lowry is going to want to go to Philly. But
not many people.
No, not at all. But I guess back to the pick. I wouldn't mind seeing Josh Jackson go there. It would give him a great opportunity to get his feet wet in the NBA. Just like Darnell said, he's very versatile. He can shoot. I think his game is NBA ready. He'll need to grow a little bit. He'll need to beef up, but I think he could go 3. If he doesn't go there, I wouldn't be surprised if we somehow see like Jason Tatum slide up into that spot. Yeah. Just because he'd be a bigger body, also the wing type player. Not as good of a shooter, but I think he could also fit the bill. Or maybe a De'Aaron Fox as a 2. I think that could be another interest. Yeah, I mean, really, at number, I feel like Philly at 3 kind of reaps the benefit of picking 3rd. It's pretty much written in stone who's going to go before them, so nothing's going to catch them off guard here. So I feel like this is a really good spot for Philly. It's not the pressure of a number 1 pick. I mean, granted, it's still a top 3 pick, but I feel like that they basically have the whole entire board to choose from. It's not like, oh, well, Lonzo might fall. They know what's going to happen. I think everybody knows what's going to happen. Yeah. For me, those would be the 3 names I could see going there. I don't think we're going to get a surprise pick at 3.
You agree with that? Everything you said, Darnell?
Yeah. Okay. Very much like stuff there.
All right, now it's time for us to talk about them Detroit Pistons. Who would you guys like to see them pick up with their 12th pick?
Well, I think
if he's there. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying if he's there, I like Justin Jackson.
We have a winner. We have a winner. I agree. I completely agree. They need another shooter. Justin Jackson fits that bill. He plays defense. He's good in transition. He can get to the rim. He has a nice little floater game. I just think he's a really solid fit. He's long. he'll beef up. Dude's a little thin for the NBA, but he'll beef up. I think he could play right away. I mean, I think he'd have a better impact right now than Stanley Johnson has. I think he could really fit the two-way player that Stan Van Gundy wants to find. With KCP being a free agent this year, I think they're going to try and re-sign him, which would be smart. He was their best shooter last year. And if we could just add somebody else, that would be great. I would really love it if we picked him. I've seen a few mock drafts saying they'd take Luke Kennard out of Duke. I wouldn't be too big of a fan of that pick. Guy's a really good shooter, but I don't know. I just don't see it. I just don't see it with Luke Kennard.
Agreed. He had a good season last year at Duke, but yeah, I'm worried about how he transitions to the next level.
Yeah.
But going back to Jackson, one of the other big things I like is that he's one of the older kids in the draft.
Yeah, that's the point.
And I think that would fit with not having to worry as much about maturity issues, especially since that was the issue for the Pistons last year. So I would think getting somebody that's a little older might be better off for him, and a little less of a headache for SVG to work with.
Yeah. And I guess my last note on it is the Pistons get one pick this year. So I think Justin Jackson would give them the biggest, he'd give you the most value. Now, do I think it would be a little bit of a reach to draft him? Yeah. If Pistons had a little bit of a later pick, I think they could still get him. But with one pick, you take whoever you want when it's your pick. And, this isn't the NBA, or this isn't the NFL draft. You're not going to trade down. You're not going to do something like that. So I would say, here, just take the pick that's going to give you the most reward. I personally think that's Justin Jackson. I would be a little disappointed if we don't take him and he's there. If he gets taken before us, then I'd need to reconsider. But if he's there and we don't take him out, I would be disappointed.
I agree.
All right, guys. Do you have any other statements before we talk about the playoffs?
No.
I think it'll be a fun draft. I think it'll be one of the funner NBA drafts in recent years.
Yeah.
And mainly because it's a lot of names we know. We're not going to get a huge string of international players this year, I don't think.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see a couple taken. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be full of names we know, a lot of big names. I think it'll be a fun draft.
Yeah. All right. Let's start the whole playoff discussion. We're about to go right into San Antonio versus Golden State. Do you guys feel it's over with the whole Kawhi Leonard injury or what?
Pretty much, yeah. You don't want to just count Pop out. He's a very good coach, but yeah, just seeing they didn't believe in themselves basically in game 2, and Golden State ran them out the gym.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel, especially if we don't hear anything about Kawhi being able to, if he has to miss their game, sure, they're done. But yeah, it's all but over. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
If he was to return for game 3, how would you still think it would basically be a pretty much a wrap for him, or?
Yeah, I would. I would say so. I just don't think he could fall down in a 2-0 hole against Golden State. At this point, you're looking to win 4 of 6. You'd probably have to force it to game 7. I just don't see it. Kawhi Leonard coming back, that ankle's still going to be very, very tender, very soft, prone to twisting again. And they're just Golden State. I mean, I don't know how else to phrase it. One of the best teams in NBA history. But I just don't think you could fall down 2-0 and expect to come back, especially if you don't have Kawhi.
Yeah.
Even falling down 2-0 if they had Kawhi, I don't know that it would matter. I mean, granted, I still think with Kawhi in game 2, Golden State would have won. It just wouldn't have been a 30-point blowout.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it spoke volumes to me that they still dropped blew a 23-point lead even with Kawhi going down in game 1. And just seeing that could happen. I mean, yes, I know Kawhi Leonard is an MVP candidate, but if he's that needed for your team that you can keep hold to a 20+ point lead that was still double digits pretty much in the third quarter.
Yeah, like halfway in the third, right?
Yeah. And I mean, and they still had chances to win the game even once they pretty much totally blew the lead. It's hard to think that playing without him that they had any sort of a shot, and I think that sank into them. They showed it in game 2. And how demoralizing that loss was. Like, I don't know how much of a lift they would even get getting Kawhi back. Cause I mean, the defeatist feeling of it even made its way all the way up to Pop, with basically the rant he went on after game 1.
Yeah.
Basically tearing down Zaza, where it was like, dude, like, I get you're mad that he's hurt, but you were up 23. How do you not play enough defense to hold on to that lead? You still have a roster full of NBA players. So, come on.
Now, do you guys still feel, give Zaza Pachulia the, innocence, when it comes to, him injuring, Kawhi in game 1? Do you think he still don't believe he did it on purpose or what?
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. I mean, Bruce Bowen, the king of, putting his foot under the, players, he said he believed he did it intentionally, so.
Yeah, so did Jalen Rose. Jalen Rose even says, I did it to Kobe Bryant, and I knew I was gonna do it to Kobe Bryant.
Well,
but that's the thing though.
That brings me to a different point. Like, I mean, I don't know if it was intentional. It was had. I do wish Kawhi didn't get hurt. It would have made for a better game. Better game 2, hopefully. I would say. But going back to Greg Popovich going so hard on Zaza about this when you had the aforementioned player. Yeah. You had this guy that like did this all the time. Everybody thought he was a dirty player, but you said nothing about this guy. And then, so I mean, like, so, and the person who's wearing his jersey number that you unretired, by the way, how did Bruce Bowen's number get retired? He was not that good. That to give a jersey to when LaMarcus Aldridge did the exact same thing in game 2, to Kevin Durant. He had one of those bad closeouts where he had his left foot sticking out, and luckily Durant landed on his back foot first so he didn't roll it, but the exact same thing, and I don't hear a peep. I wish somebody would have asked, hey, Pop, did you happen to see that closeout from LaMarcus Aldridge? Did you do that on purpose, or was it a dirty play? Was that manslaughter?
Hey, Pop, man, he would have gave one of them short, crazy answers.
I know, but I mean,
he was kind of like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, I love Popovich. I mean, he's like, as far as NBA coaches go, I think basically the only person you could say might be a better coach than him is Phil. So I have a high regard to him, but he was being a total hypocrite in that whole diatribe there. I mean, just look back at his history. It's like, dude,
gotta stick up for your players, man.
You stick up for your players to a point, but I mean, if we can go show you like probably hours of video of Bowen doing that. I mean, you got Bowen who like I don't know if you guys remember this, but do you remember where he basically jump kicked Wally Zerbiak in a game?
Yeah.
Back in his heyday. So like you got a guy that was doing that you defended, and you want to get mad about a dude doing a bad closeout?
Wally Zerbiak.
Yeah. Well, and I think here's one thing a lot of people aren't even thinking about. So we have Greg Popovich just carrying on about how this play has been outlawed by the NBA and all this and that. It's like they did call. Like, it's not like the act went unpunished. A foul was called. I mean, I understand. He probably wants a flagrant 2 and an ejection. Like, okay. But, like, the foul was called. Like, the refs did the right thing there. I mean, I understand it wasn't to the punishment didn't fit the crime for Pop, but, I mean, everybody's saying, oh, you know, Zaza Pachulia just, you know, basically got away with manslaughter, you know. It's like, not really. And second of all, I get the example, but terrible comparison.
Yeah. It's like, dude, let's tame it down here. Yeah, comparing it to killing somebody. How about like a kid throwing a baseball and didn't mean to break a window? Like, that's basically what that equates to. Not murder versus manslaughter.
Yeah.
Now, what do you guys think? You think this game ends in 4, 5, 6, 7? What? What do you think? The series.
The Spurs have some pride, so I'll give it 5.
Yeah, I'll give it 5 as well. I think there'll be a game in San Antonio where Steph's just not hitting. Clay isn't hitting. They may get 30 out of KD because he can get to the rim, but I think there will be at least one game where Spurs just lock down defensively and just kind of grind one out, win by 4, 6, something like that. Fairly close game, but I'll give them 1. So 5.
Okay. All right, guys. Anything else to add for this particular series?
No.
Best of luck to Kawhi coming back.
Yeah.
All right. Up next we have the Cavs versus Boston. Cavs putting in work right now, man. Can you guys see this continue?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Another snoozer.
All right.
The whole playoffs has been a snooze fest.
Huh?
Yeah.
I want to say 4 so bad, but once again, I think there'll just be one game where they get a fourth quarter out of Olynyk or something, and Isaiah Thomas just goes off, and they get 25 out of Bradley. All these things that have happened one at a time for the Celtics will all happen at once. And it'll probably be like, it would have to be at home. It would have to be game 2, because it's definitely not happening tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think Cleveland just wants to be Golden State again. You can tell that's what they want. But you know, just kind of interesting to think that this Cavalier team could have Andrew Bogut on it still. Like, I would love to have seen where they would be right now with Andrew Bogut.
Yeah.
Just give him another rim protector. You know, another solid body down low. Grant and Tristan Thompson's having himself a pretty good game, and he'll have himself a pretty good series, but I thought it would have been real interesting to see where this team would be if they still had Bogut.
Yeah.
Because Darren Williams is paying off for him. Nice addition.
Yeah, he's definitely doing his thing with him, so.
He's doing all he's asked him to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm basically just like getting to the finals.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, the NHL is a little more exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot more exciting, sorry.
Now, do you guys feel as if, the Cavs can, they could somehow go back to the Cavs of the regular season where they kind of look a little bit sloppy, or you just think they just in that groove right now where it's basically just going to be them in Golden State?
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm still not calling them like great defensively or anything like that, but they've tightened up on the offense, and there's just nobody. Well, I won't say nobody in the East that they've run into that can match up with. They've gotten the better matchup for each series that they were going into. And I thought Milwaukee would have gave them more trouble than Toronto. And I thought Washington would have more trouble with Boston. They avoided both because the matchups they had were bad matchups for them. So, sometimes that's just left it a draw. Like the season where Golden State won their first title, they played a team with one of their best two players injured every round. So,
yeah,
sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just about to say, just with Golden State, just kind of go back to them. Like, you kind of feel as if they kind of had an easy road because with Portland, they had, Nurkic, he's stepped up once he went to Portland. And then, with San Antonio, you had Kawhi, getting hurt. So do you feel as if the road's, been pretty easy for them this year, in the playoffs?
I mean, they've been fortunate in that way, but the way they're constructed, I basically expected them to run through everybody outside of the Spurs. Pretty much expecting sweeps. They have so much firepower and they're really good defensively too.
Yeah.
So I guess I look at them and it's playing out like I expect. I guess I had a higher bar for Golden State versus Cleveland, based on their regular season play. But, I guess that's how it is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree. I expected Golden State to do what they're doing. Granted, we even expected Cleveland to do what they were doing, or what they are doing, but I don't think we would have been surprised if somehow it didn't go that way. But we would have been surprised if it didn't go that way for Golden State. Like, we had a longer leash with the Cavaliers because of what we got out of the regular season, especially the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, has Golden State had an easy road? Yeah, but I think they would have had an easy road anyway. Just because, like Darnell said, they're that good offensively. Yeah.
All right, guys. Now, do you have any final statements just in terms of UFC, NBA, or anything else?
Nope. Just once again, get me to the finals so we can possibly get a competitive series.
Yeah. I'll take just about anything else on TV right now. I'll take hockey, UFC 212. I'll take anything right now other than these series. But, get us the finals, the NBA draft. Let's just get it moving.
Yeah. Here you guys there. But all right, guys, I appreciate you guys for checking us out. You can find this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud. Just hit us up in that search engine. You can also check us out on Twitter at DKM_cast. Just as always, man, appreciate y'all for checking us out. Y'all take care. Peace.